Hey, how's it going, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to discuss more about my new wheel setup that I recently picked up. In this video, I'm going to split up the whole video into 5 specific talking points. The topics will be split up accordingly into the tires, the wheels, suspensions, any additional modifications I had to deal with, and my experience so far with all-terrain tires. I will leave the timestamps for you all in the description below, and with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And to get started, let's go ahead and talk about the tires. So the tires that I went with are actually the general Grabber ATXs and 215 75 by 15. When I first started searching, I had 3 tires that I had in mind. The first of that being the BFG KO2s, the Toyo Open Countries, and the General Grabbers. In the end, I ultimately decided on the General Grabbers for a few specific reasons. The first of which is that the General Grabbers are a 3-peak snowflake rating. In terms of road noise, a lot of reviews noted that the General Grabbers were actually quieter than KO2s. Additionally, the General Grabbers are also rated to have a longer lifetime than the KO2s as well. Next, the sidewalls on the General Grabbers were a lot more aggressive than on the Toyo Open Countries. And last but not least, and probably the biggest reason why I went with the General Grabbers is mainly because of the price. And in comparison, to be honest with you guys, the General Grabbers and the Open Countries were about the same price. But in comparison to the KO2s, the General Grabbers were actually about $50 cheaper than the KO2s each. And honestly, I really just do love how the General Grabbers do look. Moving next to the list, let's go ahead and talk about the wheels itself. When it came to the wheels, I did have a budget in mind, as I have a lot of project cars already in the works. After researching online, I figured that it would make sense to start with some cheaper rally wheels that I could abuse until I got better with overlanding and off-roading in general. Therefore, I decided on the following wheels. I went with the Basset Racing D-Hill Rally Racing wheels with the product number D58DN5. And the specs on these wheels themselves are 5x100 wheel pattern. Please note that these steel wheels are lug-centric and not hub-centric. In terms of backspacing, it is a 5-inch backspacing, and with this 5-inch backspacing, what that means is that the wheels do have a plus 12 offset. However, do note that in order to clear my brakes, I had to utilize a 25mm 1-inch spacer. So in total, that came out to be about a negative 13mm offset. And yes, that is a very aggressive offset. But like I mentioned before, in order for this to clear my brakes, I had to go with that 25mm spacer. I know a lot of you guys are going to be commenting about the bearings and issues with that and prematurely wearing the spacers. And honestly guys, I'm tired of those comments. I know what I was getting into when I got this offset. And I know how to change roll bearings, guys, so it's not a big issue for me. So let's just leave it at that. Moving to the next item will be the suspension setup that I have for the Forester, and currently I am on stock suspensions, but please note that I am planning on changing this very shortly. With the Forester's notorious saggy bump, I am scraping the fender wear well a lot, especially during faster turns, so I definitely do plan on getting this fixed or changed out as soon as possible. Now, in terms of additional modifications, scraping, there were a few things that I had to modify. The first that being, I had to remove the OEM mudguards. With the new wheel setup, it just would not fit, especially when you're trying to make a turn. In addition to that, I had to punch back the pinch welds, as you'll see in the video here. And after punching back the pinch welds, I did use some satin black paint to prevent any rust on the areas where I had to punch. Now, do be careful and be warned that even with the OEM mudguards removed, I do still scrape at full turns with the Rally Armor mudguards. Now, obviously you don't need to use the Rally Armor mudguards, but because I do a lot of mudding and off-roading, and I'm just really trying to minimize mud getting to the body of the Forester. But if you don't utilize the Rally Armor mudguards, then I think you'll be fine with full turns. Now moving to the last item on this list, and I just kind of want to provide any initial feedback that I've had so far with the Forester. Now, when I decided to get all-terrain tires, I already knew what I was getting into, but in this case, if you are curious, these are the main differences that I have noticed after getting the all-terrain tires. The first of which would be the road noise. It's definitely there. The best way to explain it, it's similar to a jet engine noise if you're in a Boeing, etc. And that's really just the best way to explain how it sounds. In terms of handling, it is very noticeable how different it is. And the best way to explain it is that it doesn't feel like a sedan or a WRX anymore. it feels more like an SUV or full frame body. That's just how it feels like, in my opinion. Now, in terms of power, it is very noticeable at low RPMs. But fortunately, my Forester is the XT model, so mid-high range RPMs is not a problem at all. So just be aware, if you are running the NA model, you're definitely going to notice a lot of lack of power, especially during the low to mid-range RPMs. Okay, in summary, if you are planning on going with the setup, I would recommend going with the 4-inch backspace and not have to worry about the 25mm spacer for brake clearance. And as I mentioned earlier, I also do plan going with a lift, strut spacers, king spring, just so I do not scrape anymore because of the saggy bum. Regardless, I really do love how the Forester looks at the moment, and I hope you guys all do as well. So that is it for this video. If you guys found this video helpful or have any questions, feel free to like or comment down below. And as always, if you guys want to see what happens next to the XT, the 86, 96, the Z, the 50, or the Macan, be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.